So what we're going to talk about today is basically surface drains and the different products that you can use for this. Not always will you need to do a French drain. In this instance that I'm going to take you to today, it's essentially a low spot that keeps washing out. So we're going to put some oversized gravel in it, and that's going to help keep it from washing, kind of solve. Because this problem actually, this area actually has two major problems. One problem is too shady for grass. The other problem we've got is it's just a large driveway, and I'll show you here in a minute as we go down that it's just a huge long driveway and all the water drains off in this one spot. And so there's no way to do a surface drain, which would be my first choice, but there's just no way of doing that. So basically in this instance, we're going to go ahead and put oversized rock. That's what we just had loaded in the trailer, and we're going to mound it up and keep this from washing. So this is one thing. Now, if you had an area that was actually out in the sun and you had a spot, you may want to put weed fabric or some type of weed cloth underneath it to keep the weeds out. This spot is so shady that there are really not going to be any weeds to worry about. There's not going to be any weeds to worry about this. So in this instance, we're not going to worry about fabric. We're just going to dump this, take the Bobcat, we're going to spread it. And so this is a nice, easy spot and a nice example of some different things you can do with a French drain. So now, we don't have to worry about pipe. We don't have to worry about anything. And so that's our goal for today. Let's get in here, let's build this up, and I'll show you how we deal with it. We've got it all in the dump trailer. So we're gonna come dump it, spread it out, and I think it'll make a pretty good little deal, and it'll give you a nice example of another type of project that you could do for a home project that'll give you some ideas. It's really a good, simple way of doing things. And you could do it decorative if you wanted to. There's several ways. Now in some spots, we've actually put stepping stones and put pavers over the top of it, or put gravel, put stepping stones, and it's all a wash area. In this instance, we don't need to worry about it because it's down behind the house. You'll never see it, or at least 90% of the people will never see it. So this is going to be just a nice, easy little quick deal, and I will show you. So guys, I'll see you in a second when we get there. We're going to use larger gravel. Now you could use smaller gravel, but a little easier to work with, but what you're going to find is over time that's going to wash. This is going to be heavy enough to where it's going to be able to handle several gallons of water and not wash on us, and that's the big issue that I need to make sure that it handles on this. And I'm going to show you as we drive down the driveway. This is several gallons of water that we're going to be dealing with. It's an amazing amount of water that comes off this driveway. This driveway is probably, I don't know, 1/8 of a mile long, and it's all going down to the base, or down to the bottom of the drive. So every bit of the water that falls all heads down to the bottom of the drive. And it's it's as good a spot as any because they don't have to worry about dealing with it, but they are, so the water definitely has a place to go, and so it makes things nice and easy to do that. So that's not an issue. The only issue they've got is when it comes off the concrete, it's just washing. And you could have made a concrete sleuth or something along those lines. That would have definitely helped, but then you'd have probably ended up with a wash at the end of that. So by doing this, this has been going along probably for, I'm gonna guess, ever since the house has been built. So this is not a new problem. It's just kind of slowly getting deeper and worse. And we don't want this to what'll happen a lot of times whenever this concrete, if you don't get this erosion under control, it'll actually start eating out underneath the concrete. And then the concrete's gonna collapse, and that's when you have problems. And so we want to make sure we avoid that. We don't want any voids or anything getting up under the concrete. So basically, whenever you're going and doing any type of drain, you need to make sure you got to work with what you've got. So with this instance, with us using this oversized gravel, it's going to pretty well cure the problem, but it's going to make things just, you're done with it. And it's just, and so many times people try to make things overcomplicated, and there's no sense in going in and complicating this stuff. It is a pretty simple, straightforward. You can't get grass to grow unless you're going to cut the trees down in this spot, so why fight it? So just come in here, put some oversized gravel in it, and be done, unless you want to do concrete. This is something you need to figure out for your net before you start your drainage job. How are you going to get the material to the job site? One thing you can do is you can go to the rental company, rent a dump trailer, and haul it yourself. Now, if you don't have equipment or a pickup large enough to do that, you could rent the truck, you could rent the trailer. But by the time you do that, you may want to go ahead and just have a small dump truck bring you the material to the job site, or you could go and have a small landscape company oftentimes will drive a dump trailer, have 4 or 5 yards of rock or sand or whatever you need, material you need for your project, and deliver it to your property. So there's one option that you could do to figure out to get product, but that's one step that you've got to figure out what you're going to do. Getting the material to the job site, that's going to be your number one thing that you've got to figure out, the starting of this. So before you even get to the planning stage, try to decide how you're going to get the material and how much material you're going to need. All right. You can see this is the swell that we're working on covering. See all the tree roots and everything we've got right here? And then there's the rock. So what we're gonna do is push this in, and this should take care of this little issue. At least I hope. All right, so now you can see what basically this is going to look like. Let me give you a little better shot of it. So now this will keep it from washing. We did a little rake and a little cleanup, and that'll be set up. But now we won't have to worry about any wash, and it won't, nothing will grow into this tree anyway. So this is a perfect solution, a nice, easy little project, quick, simple.